Hey there team, and welcome back to the channel and welcome to Phantom Doctrine. So this is a bit of an old favourite of mine. It's on deep sale at the moment, so I thought, hey, let's shout it out and get on people's radar. It's like 90% off, something ridiculous. So Phantom Doctrine, this is kind of the spiritual successor or studio sequel or whatever you would like to call it to Hard West 1. It's from the same developer, same publisher, whereas Hard West 2, which came out last year, while still held by the same publisher, totally different developer, and very, very different game. Not that it's bad or anything like that, it's quite good, but it's much more of an action combo chainer, sort of in the vein of Gears Tactics. Very different game, almost only a sequel in name and theme alone. This, I would call almost the sequel to Hard West. A lot of the combat mechanics are quite similar. It is an XCOM-like combat system, you know, that sort of top-down isometric grid squad control. But like Hard West, its pseudo-predecessor, it doesn't really go for percentage chances so much as it's about a mitigation mechanic. And in Hard West, it was more about luck and the accumulating of luck. In this, it's a stat for agility or something like that. But essentially, if you've got the agility in the bank, it'll just delete that agility, almost like armor, and mitigate the shot. If you don't have it, well, you take the shot. Very high lethality, and very stealth-focused as well. Bit unusual. It's an 80s Cold War spy thriller? 80s? I'm pretty sure it's 80s, 70s, 80s, something like that. And a lot of the meta mechanics, which you don't really talk about that much in an XCOM-like game, but a big part of the glue that holds them together is how you manage your base and your in-between missions and that. And the meta in this is really cool. A lot of decoding messages, flying your sort of dudes around the globe, Carmen San Diego style, trying to, you know, make contact with people and hunt down other spies and evade them, go to ground. It's really good. I really like this game. Anyway, so that's the setup. Let's jump in. Regular, I guess medium, whatever. I might see if I can, what happens when I turn the tutorial off, because it's got a really good narrative through it as well. Sort of like when you think of a colony builder with a narrative, you get like a Frostpunk or even an Ixion, as opposed to, say, a Factorio. This is a bit, well, XCOM has a narrative for sure as well. I guess, yes, just use the XCOM comparison. It does have a narrative through the center of it. Subtitles, all sure, yep. Now you can play as the CIA or the KGB, and then you've got the third-party faction, which is unlocked when you clock through, and they're sort of the antagonist in this game that are drive. I can't remember what they're called, but the symbol for the game is their symbol. Anyway, Robert Perez, that'd be, but I guess you can, you know, just shuffle it up. Daniel Miller, you'll be a Sheila as well. We've got all these, you know, stock photos. But I think I'll be a dude. Anthony Maitland. Sounds good. And look at that. That looks like an Anthony Maitland if I ever saw one. Done. Let's go. And it will try and generate a model kind of close to my dude. Now, the graphics are pretty average. They were pretty average when it came out. But again, it's not on a sort of Last of Us high fidelity scale. These are your little meeples running around for grid-based combat. So it doesn't need to be that sexy. But anyway, you can mess with him here if you want, but I'm happy. Anthony looks pretty good, and his codename is Deadpan. That is just the default for your story, for your narrative, for your main sort of spy. And then off we go. The events you're about to see may have been buried or covered up. Ooh. Those with traceable records have been marked with the specific date that they occurred on. Verify at your own risk, but trust no one. Okay, sure. And you can do all sorts of stuff. You can do like change your passport, so you rename your dude and change his passport photos, and I think they can go into like cosmetic surgery. So there's this sort of in-world reason for changing your character's appearance. And in fact, it will reduce heat if he is being hunted by another faction. So it's not just aesthetic.
This is Golf Yankee Juliet uniform. Reporting contraband seized.
Understood. Break off patrol. Head back to base.
Right.
HMS Conqueror нарушил радиомолчание.
Что? Показать расшифровку. Побыстрее. Немедленно послать в Москву. Немедленно.
And it's very spy thriller, so it's one of those that you got to really pay attention.
It's big, Steve.
Langley seen it yet?
No. Should they?
Hell yeah, but use the network. We don't want anyone listening in.
Right, so immediately it's already confusing. The Americans know because they're listening to the Russians, and the Russians know because they're listening to the British.
wanted to involve in our plans?
I am handling it, Valhalla. Get out. Both of you.
Your incompetence has exposed us.
Jeez, look at this dude.
Now
Average
Iceberg
Twitter
is in
user.
jeopardy.
Doing all of this in the open was your idea.
True. It was a simple plan that any fool would have
Beholder,
executed.
that's what they're called again.
And you failed.
Gentlemen, this problem is easily solved.
Traitors.
Now, don't shout. It's bad for your heart.
And it's got that spycraft aspect to it, which is great, and you don't see this in anything, any games these days. Even movies, it's a bit rarer. I love a good thriller, and especially something that goes into, maybe not super ham James Bond spycraft, but it has that 70s flair to it, which is pretty cool. Unsanctioned raid Whitefish. We arrived in Pakistan to check up on the alleged nuclear program. We entered the mission area in disguise, but it isn't foolproof. Keep clear of high-ranking Pakistani troops. Do not engage unless they fire first. Confirm the existence of the fission device, then evacuate before they know we were even here. So I'm trying to remember how this ties in. This is obviously a prologue setup. If I had tutorial turned on, it would handhold a little bit more. But I think this just happens to be the case that your dude was on when the big major case went down. So it's kind of a little divorced, but I can't quite remember.
You really think this Pakistani nuclear program is legit?
Leslie's usually right about these things.
Really? Shit. I bet him $10 it wasn't.
Hero hope.
And yeah, there's a whole voiced and written campaign from the perspective of the KGB through this whole thing as well. So just from a narrative perspective, it's great. If you're looking for an interesting, spy thriller narrative in a game, you can't really go wrong.
Keep the comms to a minimum. Our disguise is pretty thin as it is.
Actually, I just remembered the prologue is a separate mission that we've skipped, the tutorial one, and it's, what is it? You play as a Russian agent, and he extracts some information from a dude, something like that. Anyway. And you get things like sleeper agents and that, but in the super spy thriller sense of they are an unactivated agent waiting for a keyword phrase, and you can use that to turn them on. So there's a little bit of wild stuff in here. Anyway, you can see their patrol paths and what they're up to. You can also see where the no-go zones are, which I think we're okay, because we are disguised as nuclear inspectors. I think we're good. Reach the sealed off area. But yeah, and I'm famously not a fan of stealth games, generally speaking, because I feel like the genre, in a general sense, is incomplete. They've started addressing it in recent years, like things like Metal Gear Solid V, right? Where if you go into combat, you go into it becomes a third-person shooter, as opposed to a game over screen. A lot of stealth games you have to intuit the linear path, or one of 3 paths through the level that the developers intended, and if you don't do what they want, then you have to reset your save. You get caught, you lose, you reset, and that's just kind of weak. This, however, marries the combat into it, though in such a way though there's such a high lethality. If you go into missions just guns blazing, it's gonna go badly for you. You've also got sort of these little side bits of intel that you're kind of incentivized to get. Disable laser barriers.
Yeah.
Let's send this bloke in. Can I have a squiz here? Does he have a patrol path? He does not. This character doesn't have any passive abilities. Wait, what is this? Oh, I'm inspecting him or something? Whatever, okay. There's a real cat and mouse counterplay as well, with the enemy spies on the map. You want to catch them. You want to catch them and interrogate them to find out where their safe houses are, and they're doing the same thing for you as well. And they will lead raids, like they will come heavy with auto guns and a whole bunch of dudes and smashing your HQ, and you have to move it routinely. Takedown. Silently incapacitates the dude whose HP is lower than that of the attacking agent, which is okay here. But again, when you come up against their super agents and all that, a lot of this shit doesn't work, which is great fun. Alright, so we'll just give him a bloody oos to the back of the head. Alright. I mean, I guess you could set up here. We'll send him in to investigate. I don't think it's off limits, but I think they will crack the sads if I touch the stuff while they're looking. Oh, no. Maybe don't do that. But yeah, so it gets my thumbs up for the stealth component. Oh, okay, I'd probably have to... Does this guy ever patrol? I don't think he does. You know what, we might just bail. I was assuming that the laser system was here. Am I wrong? Oh no, that is the laser machine. Ah, whoopsie daisies. Oh, well, that's okay. Let's
My skills are at your disposal.
No worries, thanks Chaz. We will need those SID skills. We're gonna have to double team those dudes. God, stop pressing that button. Just trying to get my bearings back.
I'm here.
My skills are at your disposal.
There we go. I mean, you can probably just wait there, mate. Cool. And then I think your agents can get captured and you can try and extract them, and there goes the lasers. Disabled security measures too. Cool.
My skills are at your disposal.
Very good, thank you. And it's good because I'm not really someone who gets into the collecting side content and all that, right? I don't really agree that just because you spent 10,000 hours making crappy collector quests on the side that warrants my time as a player. Call me crazy, but trashy side stuff added in is just not for me. Each to their own, I suppose.
Got a lot of background noise.
But they've implemented the side content in this so well.
Well, we're looking for the reactor. No luck.
That it's actually interesting and you want to go out of your way to go get the bits. Now, that voiceover in-game that's not your character when you're talking to someone on the radio is definitely, it's the opposite of that. It's actually really, really quiet. Something to do with their mixing or whatever. It's very difficult to turn it up. You can't isolate it. I've tried it in previous playthroughs and that. It's frustrating. I mean, you can work with it, obviously, but it's poo. I mean, I guess I could just belt this dude, right? Take that. Oos. Slap. Dispose of body. Oh, I think we're going to be good, to be honest. Now, there's also an opportunity to do a forced siege where you can take 2 doors at once and shoot targets in the room. It's pretty cool. It's sort of like this breach mode. Something you'd expect more from like a Rainbow Six Vegas or something. Collect additional intel. Breaching the bunker recommended. Which would be this. We only have 1 door in, but that's okay. We'll do a breach. Just to show what it's like. But generally speaking, you want to avoid lethality at all costs. Because there's all sorts of little rules about relative strength and dodging and all that, and some guns, like getting long guns into a fight is quite tricky as well, concealing them and smuggling them in. Though you can get bloody light machine guns and that, but a lot of it's little Makarovs, little pistols, little doot doot doot. And I'm trying to walk up next to a dude and shoot him in the head to get like an instant crit or whatever it is. Pretty big part of it.
Yeah.
Alright, so this guy's got a bloody MG in his pocket. So how do I set up breach? You know what? I'll just see if I can't get you involved as well.
What's cooking?
What's cooking? I'll just skip turn. And we'll see if she can jump on the end of the breach. I don't think she can,
I'm
but
here.
it's worth checking. Oh no! There you go, look at that. So let's breach. Deadpan, confirm breach order prepared. Right mouse button on enemies to lock them as targets. Right mouse button again to remove targets. No target lock. So we're just going to go in and it's going to be bloody noisy, and they've all got their respective guns. So here we go.
It's spotted.
Bit of a lag there.
For a second, I almost believed you were worried about us.
Yeah, right. Anyway, that was kind of cool. But now we've got the, you know, you're in deep shit trouble music. The rest of the guys on the base are going to come running. Now we need to get across there. Oh right, he can't get around. He's body blocking him.
Police!
What? Alarm raised, an unsuppressed gun has been fired. So we probably can't see the guards anymore because they're now actively hostile and missing. So they'll come rolling up here to see what's going on. Probably don't need to shoot that Sheila. They just all seem like innocent workers.
Leslie, Bolt totally owes
Well,
you 10
look at this.
We've got a reactor.
I reckon they've got a reactor.
Fission device.
Then the test is imminent. Get out of there, now.
Copy.
Yep.
We'll save some legwork if we jump over the wall from the roof here. Bolt?
I heard you. Activate your beacon now.
That's another thing as well, getting the LZ and then timing it correctly as well. Evacuate your team. So what we'll do is, you only get a few choices of evac.
Exfil incoming.
Evac vehicle ETA. She totally out of moves? I think so. Find out. Is she? Huh, how come it's not giving me the flashing end of turn marker, I wonder. So yeah, this is a bit of a unique mission, you know, going deep and in a disguise and all that. The others are a little bit more urban, generally speaking. Setting up disguises and surveying the point becomes a huge part of the loop. So you can find a MacGuffin, whatever, like whether it's a character or something that you're trying to extract or whatever, you find the location. But if you get enough dudes there kind of early, you can set up like you can set up for infiltration, disguises, that sort of stuff. So when you start the mission, you have seeded characters in there, ready to help from the inside. In fact, that's probably the best way to go about it, is getting your little sort of Mission Impossible team on the inside of the building to open up all your different angles. Because then usually they can move around unmolested if they're disguised already, as opposed to trying to get in from the outside in. Usually it'll be some sort of facility with a security office, or like, generally speaking. Oh, look out. Damage based on injury. So I guess there's a bloke there. It's a bit rude. You also have like infirmaries in your base and that as well, so persistent damage is a thing.
Christmas.
Jiminy Christmas.
We're alive, Leslie.
Oh, good. Well, I had to static there for a minute. What happened?
Where is this bloke?
Test. It didn't blow us to pieces.
Cold tested. No fissile material.
So you get 2 move markers and 1 attack one as well, so we'll be able to attack this bloke. Full auto. So what's this here? Oh, that's a different dude I can attack. Alright. I can't remember quite how these numbers work. 35 and 20. I think because he has 45 dodge statistic, he will mitigate it down to a graze, which will be 20 damage. I can't hit him with full auto, I know, but I can hit him with this single shot, right? You've also got burst. Right, the center enemy with a precise burst confers a damage bonus if the target is flanked or out of cover. So not really the way to go. We'll just do a single shot, right? Oh, and that goes from 20 to 2. Let's see what happens. I feel like it'll delete 20 of his dodge and it will only do 2 damage, but it's a good test. Oh, well, I was right about the 2 damage at least. There's also 2 types of Overwatch. There's close Overwatch like this. I always thought this was pretty cool. So you can like Overwatch a room in 360 sort of thing. But then once you go out a certain range, it becomes conical. So you got to choose. Are you going to do ones that watch your flank, or are you going to do long range Overwatch? I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, we'll try and zip through this mission. And if the video's got to go a little bit longer, so be it. Because having a look at the overworld is pretty cool. I don't suppose you can hit anyone from here. Target too far beyond weapon's effective range. And you've got a French Dow in your pocket there. Same thing. Oh well, whatever. End turn. This is what happens when you go loud though. Oh. Overwatch is getting this bloke. Look at that, get hosed. That's an interesting way to die. Goodness. Yeah, the combat I think is fantastic because people so quick, like it's not just bullet sponge, bloody XCOM, right? Nothing wrong with XCOM, but that definitely has a more bullet sponge, more gamey component to it. This is like if you're sneaking into a hospital or whatever and your cover gets blown and you're stuck in a corridor surrounded by 3 dudes, you're probably going to die. Your dude's going to get absolutely minced. Because you know what? That's probably what would happen if you ended up in a firefight in a bloody hospital corridor. So it can feel frustrating when it happens, especially since you will be really pushing the envelope, trying to sneak in places that you shouldn't be. EVA for vehicle, I think we should still be able to Overwatch.
Let's do this.
This gun needs a reload. Uses up the move, but I think Overwatch only uses the action pip. Not enough action points. It uses an action to move. Bugger. Okay, that's fine. Well, that doesn't sound good. Reinforcements arriving. It's interesting that the enemy turn takes a little while, right? There's only so many dudes on the map at the moment. It doesn't get super large scale. Like, you can get overwhelmed. And you're not going to get a chopper extract very often. Usually it's a crappy minivan. I think you hit evacuation when everyone's there. Don't want to get that one wrong. Evacuate all friendlies in the zone. There you go. Get that canned animation going. Alright, but that gives you an idea. The combat's serviceable. It is unique. The system that governs dodging or avoidance or mitigation or whatever you'd like to call it is actually quite complex and confusing and kind of poorly telegraphed. But every time I go back to this game and pick it up, you do pick it up after a while. The answer always is try not to get in a gunfight. And if you do, work your cover. Stay in your cover, protect your angles, wear body armor, that sort of thing. Right, cool. We've got new agent, secret file. Cool. Summary.
Fender's on the line.
Someone must have told him about our little trip.
So Fender's our handler, if I recall.
Agent Deadpan, I regret to inform you an inspection of your operations is imminent.
Why is that?
Hard to be sure, but my money is on the allegations of an unsanctioned operation in Pakistan.
I literally have no idea what you're talking about.
Leslie isn't your handler anymore. I am. Keep ignoring that, and you'll lose the...
So we're moonlighting for our old handler.
This might be bad timing, but you have a package from Leslie in operations.
Right, anyway. So let's have a quick squeeze. We've got our crew quarters. Look at this dude. Bone meal. There's Canasta. Skipper. Buran. So yeah, you can equip them with all different weapons. We won't necessarily go into it, but you can train them up in perks or perks that they get revealed as well. Some guys are better with certain weapons, that sort of thing. They have heat there as well. Infirmary, Deadpan, Durand is healing up because he got zapped. Workshop is where you can do research and upgrade. You can make like a forging machine to print money and that sort of thing. Expand your base. Analytics is really cool, where you basically piece together your files that you collect along the way to figure out what's going on with the sort of mission, right? So here you got to find a person. Sunburn, it'll be that there. So you scan through the document and you find the keywords, sunburn in this case, right? And then it will go up on the pin board, right? As you get more info, it's a shame because it's so early on, but you'll get all these little things to put on the pin board, and you do a bloody Charlie Day, and you spaghetti chain it all together with your pieces of yarn until it finally makes sense, and then you solve the case. It's really cool. And then this is your sort of overworld map. You can pause and unpause to let it play. This is where our base has started in Beirut by the look of it. But you can see we've got all these different areas that we can move to. And you can go, over here, but I think it's limited by what we have here. Like everyone's in Beirut, right? Okay, for example, Port Said has suspicious activity. Scout area. Scout target area to reveal enemy activity, informers, and potential hideouts, right? So we can send Deadpan, right? Why not? Deadpan's our man. Start job. We'll send him. What's going on here? Suspicious activity in Kuwait. Now it says less than an hour, and yet we have a 2-hour ETA. What I might do is just start dispatching everybody to all these things. And we might even leave old Bone Meal as sort of Johnny just waiting at home in case. And then you unpause. You can see now that he's here, agent on site. I think the fact that it's just blue indicates that there's nothing there. It was a false alarm, right? But we can stage him from there. So if I wanted to move to Tripoli, you can see, I mean, they're both next to each other because of Beirut, but having an asset ready to go remotely is ideal. All right? Aguirre located. We tracked it down. This, I'm just skimming over this because I'm trying to do an overview, but this is part of the main story sort of thing. We've got some more intel. Oh, perfect. Hang on. We might actually be able to put that on the board. Right? Nope. Nope. How do I go back to that? Here we go. Intel collected. Organization. So you can read through it. We've got redacted things and all that. It's actually really cool. I mean, it could be the DEA. Puerto Rican police. I'm just having a quick squiz. 7 people. Under Chilean reps file. There you go. The Chilean reps. So now that's on the board there. Oh, we've got more intel here. Now, we can't pin those together. No more intel because these don't exist yet. So see, I need more intel basically, if I recall correctly. Okay, cool. So we've got something going on here. Aguirre's activity. Now this is a mission for the main story, I think. However, or maybe it's not. Because usually there's no time constraint on the main mission one. Taylor Aguirre, right? But you can see interrupt op if I had 16 hours and 2 people, right? 0 hours, 0 people required. Assault, objective conflict, right? Tactical recon if I got two people there. So Taylor Aguirre, I don't think I can do it without 3 people. However, I do have 3 people ready to go. Right, we've got you there and these guys there as well. So I can do that and they'll be there to do that mission in time. So you can see there's 4 degrees of mission and the final one is just a straight up confrontation all out. Whereas the other ones, the staggered ones, are more sort of infiltration like. We'll just let it play. Right, so we go here and you can see it's now in progress, right? So they're doing their thing and there'll be a little timer above it. Taylor Aguirre, 10 more hours. And then you sort of just let the clock tick over. And then meanwhile, if we have idle dudes at base, or we can move these guys around, we could have them working on the forging machine, making more money. We're generating a bit of money at the moment. Right? So we get the results here. Aguirre drove several hours across the border into Syria unhindered. So there's, like I said, there's a whole story in there. We're not going to worry about it too much. Continue. We got some intel from it. And that's the end of the mission, right? So we didn't have to go into conflict. No one got shot. No one got hurt. We managed to get our intel, which we can pin up on the board. And let's just see if we can finally sort of make it into something interesting. Here we go. Aha. So this guy is linked to the Chilean reps. Bang. We can do that. Stealth smokers, 19. No, so there's not any other links. But you want to clean up all the sort of chains. And as it goes along, these will reveal themselves to have more things going on as well. Anyway, I think that covers it pretty much, broadly speaking. Obviously, there's a lot more to it. There's only so much I can cover in one video, but it's really good. It's really unique, and I loved any opportunity to shout this out. I probably return to it yearly just to let people know. Like I said, it's gone for a couple of bucks at the moment, at least. It's very cheap. Maybe you're watching this video in the future. Put it on your wish list, something like that. Anyway, let me know what you reckon, team. Might just leave it there for the time being, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.